Alright, so in this video we're checking out the Happymodel Mobeetle6. So this is obviously a 65mm whoop. It is an updated version of the Mobeetle 6 from a while back. So it uses a updated version of the Diamond F4 flight controller, which has the Express ELRS built in now. It does come in a FreeSky D8 version as well. But this is what the new board looks like. Basically, it looks the same except they add these LEDs here in the front. And this has onboard Express LRS. And it has an open VTX 400 milliwatt video transmitter. I think the old version only had 25 milliwatts maximum. And for this, they're not using the ceramic antenna. As you can see, there's the 4 pads for the ceramic antenna. They're just using a wire for the antenna. I think this is also to keep the weight low and also for durability. This is going to crash a lot and those little ceramic antennas tend to just pop off. This will be a lot more durable in the long run. There's your VTX antenna there. Otherwise it's fairly much the same. F411. It's got a 5 amp 4N ESC on board. The gyro on mine is the MPU 6000. However, they did put in the specifications for this board that it might come with one of 3 different gyros. I think either the MPU 6000, the ICM something 2860, whatever, and the BMI 270. So, because of the part shortages, and one of the reasons why this model has taken so long to come out is because of things like gyros not being available. So they're leaving the option of swapping that out for different gyros, so something to keep in mind. But you're going to see that from pretty much all of the bind and fly manufacturers that make anything that has a flight controller in it, and they're going to be mixing and matching parts just to make some of these things because of all the part shortages. And don't ask me which one is sold where. I have no idea. I know that a lot of you are going to be like, I want the one with the MPU 6000. Where can I get that? I have no idea. You'll have to contact the store. They probably won't know either because they won't know what's in the box. And a lot of the manufacturers are going to be doing that from now on. So it's sort of like you just have to take what you can get, I guess. I've also heard that people that are hoarding these, some of these with the MPU 6000, and then when they're very hard to find, I heard that they're going to be selling them for triple to quadruple the price of what they bought it for. So I guess people are out there, trying to make money, I guess, in that way. Anyway, so this has the unique ability to swap all the parts over to a little frame here, and includes a canopy, and basically you can turn it into like a little 65mm prop toothpick, and has all the little mounting hardware, the rubber bands, etc. And it's the same prop, the 65mm prop. I did not include anything in this video regarding this toothpick setup because the whoop is more interesting in my opinion. This is more or less going to be like an underpowered version of this guy here that is on a 40mm, or instead of a 31mm propeller, it's a 40mm propeller or 75mm size toothpick. So it's a little bit bigger here. And if you go back and look at all the videos on these toothpicks that have the 0802 motors with the 40mm propellers, they all pretty much perform about the same. They don't have a ton of power. You can't do like crazy freestyle or anything like that. Now, this one is definitely going to be lighter than those over there, and this motor has some pretty crazy power. I mean, in terms of straight line speeds, but in terms of power to weight ratio, and in terms of like throwing it around, not so much. I mean, it's a little bit better than the 0802 motor, but I'll get into that a little bit more later. But if you're really interested in seeing a video on this specifically, let me know in the comments below. I might do this one a bit later. I'm actually thinking about doing the next video for this guy, the Mobeetle7 1S HD with the split camera in there. This is probably going to come first, but if you'd rather see the toothpick version of this in the video later before that one, let me know in the comments. But this comes with some updated 0702 motors. And not sure if it's camera will focus. There we go. So these are 0702s, 23,000 kV. Now this 0702 sized motor, I think is they're saying this was inspired by Angry Don FPV, and then when I made a review on this model, I guess they had maybe given me some bad information, and the way I took it from what they told me is this whole model was inspired by him, but then I found out afterwards that it wasn't. It was just the motor, but they actually got the motor kV wrong as well. And I was told it was supposed to be 20,000 kV. So this was originally 26,000 kV, and this model here had Express ELRS with the 26,000 kV 0702 motors. If you go back and look at that video, and I think this model is discontinued, by the way, so you can't buy it. But if you go back and look at that video, it was, not the greatest performer, and it was very inefficient. So you had very short flight times, usually a minute and a half to 2 minutes if you're flying normally like you would race a whoop around. So this was kind of a dud, and basically has that nice Express ELRS board in there, but the wrong motors for this one. This really needs like 0802 motors. So yeah, this one didn't get a lot of love. So they went back to the drawing board, and I think what they're saying is what Angry Don really wanted was something like this with the 0702 motors at around 20,000 kV with the Diamond F4, and I think his version was even lighter than this one. This one comes in at I think 17.5 grams. Yeah, so on my scale it comes in at 17.3 grams. And Happymodel is saying that this is the lightest bind and fly in a 65mm whoop style that is actually in existence. Probably true. I don't know if anything else is lighter than this. Obviously, you can make your own custom one, and I know that some people are shaving off parts of the duct here and like using lighter parts or whatever. Certainly, it's possible to get the weight down even more if you really strip it down. But this is for a bind and fly, it's pretty well stripped down. This canopy is new compared to the Mobeetle6, and yeah, I know I'm pretty sure someone is responsible for the creation of that design. I don't know who it is. I went on Facebook to go search around, but it's hard to find stuff on Facebook, so I gave up after a little while. I'm sure you guys will name that person down in the comments below. But yeah, that's this is a part I'm pretty sure someone has put up on Thingiverse already. But yeah, this is like kind of an ultra super light whoop, and comparing it to like your traditional whoops that were with the 0802 motors. Those are roughly around 20 grams, sometimes maybe less, sometimes more, depending upon which bind and fly you get. This has way more agility and way more speed compared to the 0802 motor. In some ways it's good, and in some ways not so good. Now, I think that just for me, the first time I flew this, I was like, wow, this is way too fast for me. But as I flew it some more, I did start getting more and more used to the speed. The problem with the speed here is because the motor is so small, it's not as responsive to your stick commands in terms of trying to make micro adjustments when you're going really fast, especially in a smaller area. And this is compared to the 0802 motor. I felt like the 0802 motor was a little bit more, well, I think because it had to do with the fact that it weighed a little bit more. You could kind of manage the speed a little bit differently compared to this one. I think it'll come down to more practice time on this, but you really got to be quick on the reflexes if you want to make adjustments. Otherwise, you're just going to be crashing a lot, which I'm just showing you. I'll probably all this footage right now of me just crashing and crashing and crashing, which is, this does a great job. It takes a lot of abuse, and it still works fine. Nothing wrong with it. Well, the board did pop out here, and if you look at the fact that this board here has only 3 mounting points because of the way the board is the board is designed. It's interesting is that this one in a hard crash would pop out almost every time, whereas when I was flying the Mobeetle6, it's the same thing where it only has 3 mount points, but it never popped out ever in any crash. So I don't know what that is. I just think it's because of the speed. This thing is just so much faster than this compared to the 0802 motors, and that causes a lot of, I guess, crash damage in terms of the board popping out. It doesn't mean it doesn't work anymore. It's because the frame is flexible. You just have to basically flex the frame and just stick it back in. It's It's not a big deal. It takes about 2 minutes to do. But yeah, the flying characteristics of this is really interesting, and I think some people are going to love it, and some people are probably not going to like it. It really depends on whether or not you have the skills to get used to the speed and adjust. You know, if you have the ability to make those quick adjustments in mid-flight, then this might be a really good motor for you, because you're going to like that sort of agility. But and especially on, you know, in terms of straight line speed, it's very, very fast. You can build up a lot of acceleration and momentum really quickly with this motor compared to the 0802, which is better for like larger tracks that win more straightaways versus the if you have a lot of like quick turns and stuff, you can still deal with this one. You're gonna have to fly slower than you want to. And one of the things about this setup here with this one of the things I noticed about this 0702 motor is that when you drop off the throttle to make those maneuvers to slow down, this tends to drop a lot quicker than the 0802 and on the lower end of the throttle. And I'm not exactly sure why that is. I'm thinking that on the lower end of the throttle, it might not have enough RPMs to handle the weight, so it drops faster. So you may want to increase your idle value for your throttle at the lower end. I haven't made any adjustments in any of the flights that you see here. I flew it with whatever the rates came on there. Whatever this, I'll just show you the beta flight settings. It's just basically stock settings. I didn't change a thing. I just bound up my transmitter and went and charged up the batteries, and I flew it. And by the way, it came with two of these Happymodel 300 milliamp hour 1S batteries with a PH 2.0 connector. Pretty standard. So I think the bottom line here is if you are looking for something with a lot of straight line speed, but not necessarily the ability to do a lot of quick turns and fly in tight spaces, this is an interesting motor. I think I'm gonna have to fly this for a few more months to see if I really like it or not. I think in my smaller space, in my small house, it's going to be tougher to get used to this motor. I might have to make some adjustments to the way the tune works as well, based on my flying characteristics. Like, for example, the stock rates that this came with, I thought the roll rate was too high for me, and the yaw rate was too low for me, for my flying style. Those are probably things that I would adjust. So I think you'll have to adjust those rates for this motor. And I like those, like the rates that I use for the 0802 motor are going to be different than the rates on this motor. So you have to adjust your rates for this specific motor after you've kind of flown around for a while. I think that's going to be like the biggest thing in terms of getting controllability of this model, is finding the right tune and the settings and the rates for this, because you're going to have to really fine tune it, I think, to get it to the point where you feel like you have really good control over it. For me, out of the box settings, right straight from the factory, I feel like I need to do more work here to get it to the way I feel like I'm more comfortable with it. Anyway, it's going to do for this one. We'll have another video later on the Mobeetle6 1S HD, and also later on for the toothpick conversion. I always have to pull all the parts out and put it into this frame, but that'll be a little bit later on. But if you have any questions for that video, let me know down in the comments, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video.